Are going to do introductions this morning. We're going to do introductions this morning because we do have a new face. For those who have not met Thea yet, she's our new HR director. So let's go around the room. And if you have, you may have forgotten some because you're drinking from a fire hose right now. You know me, Don.
Hey, yeah, Don. Nice to see you again.
Mary Kay.
Cole.
Yeah.
Thea Dan
Sean Blanchard.
Cassandra Larson.
Jeff Underwood from IS.
Thea. Sarah Hampshire.
Matt from Juvenile, we bumped into each other a couple times in the hallway.
And Christy, the clerk.
And online, Aubrey.
She's muted.
Oh, you're muted, Aubrey.
Don't you hate it when you do that? I'm Aubrey Olson. I'm the DA. We met briefly when you first started, so it's nice to meet you. Sorry I'm not there in person today. I had some personal stuff come up, so I'm working remotely today.
Chris. Chris.
Sorry about that. Chris Leahy, Thea, we've met many times. So, hi again.
That's good to hear. Joel.
Joel Stevens, County Council. Welcome again. Look forward to working with you and really excited to have you on board.
Hey Joel, thanks.
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie Rogers, Court Administrator for the Justice Court. We haven't met yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting you and working with you. I'm just across the hall.
Josh.
Josh Brown, we spoke on the phone, Thea. I'm not going to turn my camera on. I don't normally work Mondays, so that's why I'm attending virtually, but background's not good. So hopefully we'll see you out at the office where you can meet all our staff like we've been talking.
Matt.
Matt Kelly, Sheriff's Office. Welcome.
Nick. You're doing a great job, Debbie.
Nick Torres, Veteran Service Officer.
Thank you. Randy.
Good morning. It's Randy Thorpe. I'm the County Emergency Manager, and I'm remote because weekend kind of got me down a little bit, and I didn't want to come in and expose anybody to what I may have come down with. So, welcome.
Thank you, Randy.
All right. Okay, Jeff, I think you have the next item. Did you want to introduce TextMyGov? Well, Samantha's getting queued up.
Yeah, is she? Okay, that's going to be interesting. I confirmed with her on Friday
I
that
see.
she's going to be here.
There's two other people online that I don't know if they're going to carry for her. Is there anyone from text.gov?
Yeah, hey everyone, can y'all see and hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, my apologies. My name's Spencer, one of the managers here. Samantha's out sick today, so I'm filling in for her. So from what I understand, the meeting today was just going to be a quick overview of the TextMyGov system that the county has and kind of outlining the project for this. Is that what we're looking for?
Yes. Did you have anything you want to say first, Jeff? Or?
No, I think hopefully most of you remember that this is the system that we're looking at to give more of a portal to citizens to be able to do quite a bit. Spencer's going to be able to explain it a heck of a lot better than I am, so I will just let him go.
And we do have the contract signed. They're under contract and they've started working on the project already, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Spencer.
Perfect. Yeah, no, thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. Let me share my screen here and we'll dive right in. So let's see here. Okay, hopefully that pulls up. So Once again, with TextMyGov, what we are is a communication tool. We're based out of northern Utah, if anyone's familiar where Logan, Utah is. But nationwide, we work with over 1,000 municipalities to provide texting in a really a general format for the county communications. So this is kind of an overview of TextMyGov. This is a countywide agreement, so all interested departments can use this. There's no per seat or per license fees. We leave that to y'all to decide, but just from our discussions with a lot of the departments, seems like there's a lot of use cases between various county departments. So on our end too, like it says here, we have an account management team here in our offices in Logan. And so we'll be handling all the training and support, the setup. But in general, how it works is for the residents there of the county, just as long as they have a cell phone that has texting, that's all they need to start getting alerts from the county or start using our interactive tools to help them get their questions answered a little bit quicker. So there's no app download required for the county residents. And then for the county itself, for employees and staff, we offer an online web-based tool from where you'd send out mass text alerts, that sort of thing. And there's no need for any extra equipment, phones. Your staff are not going to be getting texts from residents directly, nothing like that. So with this tool, these are the three main ways we'll help out here. So as you can see, just starting from the top, find information. This is where residents can text in with some common questions for each department. Just from working with other counties, we find that a lot of departments do get some repeat questions, some general questions, and this program allows them to text those questions in. And then our program will utilize pre-set up automated responses back, which will, one, cut down on some phone calls for the various county offices, free up some staff time, and two, help residents find information faster. And I'll show you an example of how that works. If y'all have your cell phones handy, you're welcome to try it out today. I had just set up register to vote as a quick example. So you're welcome to text register to vote to this 435 number on the screen. Now, this is just our demo number here. Of course, we're in the process of purchasing just a 503 number for the county there for your residents to text to. But go ahead and try it out. Our program will just send you an automated message back within a few seconds. And this just provides information that we link from the election division page, helping people find the answer to that question. I think in this case, it just links them back to the Secretary of State website. So it should say, thanks for contacting Tillamook County, and then have a couple links in there. So this is typically how our account management team will help build out some of these responses, is linking it back to y'all's website, providing the resident the information, once again, to help get that information a little bit quicker. So our team will, as part of this setup process, begin creating these keywords and work with the different staff members that we have as part of the implementation team to make sure some of these FAQs are built into the system. The other parts of the program here more revolve around where folks can also get information and get responses from the public as well. So we have a built-in survey tool, which is really similar to like a SurveyMonkey, a Google Form situation, where you can create surveys, put them out to the public, text it out to the public, and get responses back. And then lastly here is going to be the alerts. So this is where the county can have different notification groups and then quickly be able to get out information to the public about a lot of general items. So some of the things we had spoken about was information with elections, different offices, taxes, county events, just as an alternative way to reach people. So that's an overview just on how TextMyGov will work for the county. Any questions?
I don't think we have any questions right now, Spencer.
Perfect. Yeah, we're super excited to work with y'all. Once again, the system's customizable and everything's included. So we'll just kind of work with everyone, but we're excited to get everything going, and we've seen great success work with other customers and counties. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate it.
Jeff, did you want to speak to, so which departments are using it right now with, is it Cassandra and Christy?
At this point, yes. Spencer, would you have a second? One of the things that I did want people to see was using it to like at parks being able to report that, hey, this area, this shower is not working or something, and there are being QR codes available and things. We have a lot of areas where there aren't staff regularly at, but if using that to be able to report problems would be a huge benefit to some departments.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. Let me share my screen here again. So this is an example of a place we work with in Michigan. And so they just put these stickers on their park trash cans to have people report those. And then just like you mentioned, Jeff, we'll also provide you QR codes that folks can scan. And then in this case, it'll walk the resident through a conversation. And the county will decide on what questions it wants to ask the resident in advance. So typically what we see is, maybe what's your name? What is the location of the problem, right? If it's a numbered bathroom, the park it's at, and then they can either take a picture or just text in a description of the issue. But we can ask more or less questions depending on what y'all want. And then just like you mentioned, Jeff, here in the program, we'll work with you guys to set up for these different categories on who is going to get the report, right? So for this bathroom one, like you'd mentioned, you can click this edit button, and then that's where you can put in the email address or phone number of who is going to get the report from TextMyGov. So the resident will text in the information, our system compiles it into a report, and then it will go automatically to whoever's contact information is listed here for the different staff or different department. So for each of these different items, once again, these are all just a bunch of different examples in here, but it can go to different people depending on the issue.
Great, thank you so much.
And Spencer,
Yep.
can you go to Klamath? Randy, can you go to Klamath County, Oregon? Klamath
Totally.
County's website, and so people can see what that would look like, the widget.
Yes, absolutely. Let me get that pulled up right here. I know I've got their flyer pulled up. So this is like our marketing team here in Logan. This is an example of what they're using for their Texting Insight. And they've got this posted around, the different county offices, letting people know some options that people can text in. And then here on their page in the bottom left-hand corner, I'll zoom in here. But it's going to be something along those lines where people will know about it. People can sign up for messages. People will have some options of things they can text in as well. So this is all going to be included as part of the marketing efforts.
Thanks.
Jeff, if other departments wanted to develop something for theirs, how does that process work?
Just let me know and I can get you in touch and we can get the ball rolling.
Okay. And that's all under the existing contract?
Yes.
I can talk to Jeff.
Oh, okay. Anything else on TextMyGov?
Looks good.
Looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Spencer.
Perfect. Yep. So we'll see y'all later. Thanks again.
I just want to thank Christy for bringing this all to our
For
attention.
sure.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So long, a couple of months ago, so that's great.
Yeah,
It's good to see.
A pilot department.
Yeah.
I think it'll be beneficial, so.
Just leave the dog licenses off it.
Yes.
Or point him to the city. attorney.
Yeah,
Okay, so moving on to the update for essential services. I shared last night an updated version of what I shared the last two meetings. We didn't have a meeting in May, so there's a lot of updates to this ones, and I've started taking off some of the items that have been completed that this isn't gonna be a long-term tracking list, because it's just gonna get so big. So I've started just to keep the items that have been completed that are more recent, that you may not be aware of, or they may be tied to other items on the sheet. So I'm just gonna start going through here, and I think going forward, now that Fia's here, she'll be able to report out on the human resources items, but I'll carry that today. So, as you know, we're trying to go through, starting with the Central Services Department and doing departmental operation assessments. And we'd like to have a third-party view of that. And I thought it was a great opportunity with Thea and her 20 years of HR experience coming in new. What better time to audit the HR department? So as time allows, she'll be working on that. I don't think she's dove into that one yet, but coming soon. The job classification study and the compensation study, Troop and HR staff have been scrambling like crazy to get this done and get it done well and meet our timelines for bargaining. The AFSCME job classifications are done with the exception of 14, and those are making their way through the bargaining process. The non-rep and Teamsters job descriptions are drafted, changes incorporated from Troop. And HR staff and the supervisor review is completed, and employees, I think supervisors received that email from Friday as well. I'm not sure who was on that, yeah. So today, I believe HR staff have plans to send the non-rep and Teamster job descriptions to the employees. And then they'll have a week to review, so we're looking at a deadline of June 9th for that. And then that will start wrapping up the job classification study. Compensation and pay equity study, we have the comparative resolution compensation philosophy done. The comparator surveys for AFSCME, non-rep, and Teamsters are done. The analysis, most of the analysis is completed for AFSCME, and non-rep and Teamsters analysis is beginning. I'm going to be connecting with Mary Jo this week on getting the information in the AOC form that the compensation board decided they wanted to use for the elected officials comparative survey. So that'll be coming soon, and the results and analysis of that should align nicely with when the board's going to be making decisions on the non-rep. The full report, and there's a lot that feeds into this, pay equity, all of these groups need to be completed to look at it all together. The final report recommendations from Troop, we're looking at sometime in July, and then the board needs to deliberate on how to implement those recommendations. Moving through the AFSCME bargaining, there's been 6 sessions to date. There's 2 more slated for July. I would say overall it's going pretty well. I don't know if anybody else on the team wants to speak to, if I'm mischaracterizing that, but I think it's going well, all things considered. Employee manual, we have a solid draft. It's now going into bargaining with a subcommittee of AFSCME, and there's a meeting this week. We're going to start revising the manual, and then once we have a solid draft, that'll be shared with the leadership, the team certainly before, and the board before any decisions are made on that. So you will be brought in when we have a solid draft. It's been reviewed by AFSCME as well. I'm not going to go through all of these, kind of skipping through. Onboarding, offboarding, IS and McKenzie, and maybe some other HR staff are working on onboarding improvements. The legal operations and services assessment, we're still working through exploring some different strategies and how to implement any changes out of the recommendations from Harang Long. The IS director, Jeff and I had a great interview last Friday. We have a second round, I'm hoping final interview next week with one candidate. These are tentative dates, but you would be involved in a meet and greet if you're available. So just if you wanted to put a hold on your calendar, June 9th and 10th from 12 to 5, somewhere in there. It's not gonna be obviously all of the time on both days, but one of those days for a short period of time. We would be bringing in this candidate for a second interview. It's exciting. Under facilities, the courthouse space assessment is moving along very well. I'm excited with some of the results that are coming out of that. Working with DLR to finalize the list of space needs, and they're working on concepts of how we could accomplish. So we're looking at a full courthouse gut, partial gut, small annex likely in the area on county-owned property, or pursuing an offsite location. So that'll all be in that report, and that expect that in probably early July. McKinstry's technical energy audit and project plan, they're making a lot of great headway on this. I met with them last week and went over the courthouse space. They're meeting individually with the other departments that have facilities, but I met with them about the courthouse. They're basically ready to finalize priorities and recommend and present that to the commissioners. And then based on approval of those priorities, they would move forward with more formal cost estimates, and we would give them the go ahead to develop the actual plans that we could go out to bid for. And I'll come back to I'll pull these red text items together later in my talk here. Okay, on the other side, under finance, with all the county's momentum in trying to achieve financial stability that we've been talking about over the last year, there's just a lot of momentum around that, and we're trying to be more active, proactive in managing our finances. And so out of the strategic plan, the next operations and services assessment that the board wanted to move forward with was in the treasurer's office. And so we worked with Mike Gleason to do that. He may have interviewed some of you in that assessment. The assessment is completed, and over the next several weeks, we're going to be working with Sean and her staff in what is the assessment. So you don't have it yet. Mike called you last week to set up a meeting. He said he left you a message last week. So I'll have him reach out again, but he said he left you a message last week to meet to talk about the assessment. So that's the assessment. And after they meet, we'll be talking about how to move that forward. Let's see. Revenue generation and cost reduction strategies. That report is done. They did a really good job of high-level analysis, going through all of we gave them a lot of information in a spreadsheet, and they did a really good job of running them all through an initial sieve with the framework criteria that was approved by the executive team. And that is a little bit on hold. There's some strategies in there, as you can imagine, that may influence bargaining. So we're holding that until we get a little bit further into the bargaining process, as well as the next red items I'm going to talk about. So we are going to be planning on moving forward with some of the strategies in there after we're collectively talking about what's in there. And I know you guys are a little in the dark still on that. We do want to proceed with a financial assessment, likely with Tiberius. Deborah and I are going to be talking with them about that this week. And then the financial planning work sessions, I just came up with that title. I don't know what we want to call it. It's we had planned after Tiberius completed the work to start working on a financial plan that brings it all together, because there's revenue generation and there's cost reduction strategies, but we need to look at that all together. So as we're asking people for money or asking people to reduce whatever, it's a strategic plan. Additionally, everything in red, so the courthouse space assessment, whatever comes out of that, McKinstry's deferred maintenance recommendations, which are millions of dollars, any changes that we're talking about, going out for additional funding for things. We have a lot of huge actions and strategies that are all coming to conclusion for where they're at. And the goal with these financial planning work sessions is to have broader discussions about how it all fits together and strategically implement it all. So we're not just off and running on a space, if we're gonna remodel the courthouse, we're not just remodeling the courthouse. Maybe there's some revenue generation ideas in the Tiberius work that helps fund that, and it's a cohesive strategy. So it's a little vague, it's a work in progress, but we're trying to pull all of that together and be very thoughtful, because these are big projects, they're very expensive, they impact staff, they impact the community, and we're just trying to be really thoughtful about it. So you'll all certainly be involved in that. I don't know what that looks like yet. The budget committee will be involved, but that's where we're headed. And then all of that work would end up in some form of a financial plan. Other things that we would be talking about, which if you've been tuning into the board's discussion around and the budget committee discussions around budget planning, there's been concepts about the board establishing a board order for how we're gonna manage the budget going forward. Are we gonna slow roll recruitment? Are we gonna slow travel? When timber revenues come in, should we have a targeted discussion about how to make budget adjustments? Just being very active going forward in how we're managing our budget. So those types of discussions about how the board and the budget committee and all of us are gonna act and process this information. We're trying to delineate what that looks like as a group. So more to come on that, but I think that's pretty exciting. I think the rest I'll just leave here, but it's information, happy to answer questions, but that's a snapshot of some things that myself and a lot of staff in the department will be doing. Any questions? Shall we start on? Great report. Thank you. Okay, Dawn?
Summer reading's coming very, very soon. And this Thursday, we're gonna be closed for an in-service day. We do that annually to get ready for summer reading, make sure everyone understands the game, how it works, and then do some other training alongside it while we have everyone gathered. And we're really excited this year. It's gonna be great. We have as per usual, we have a children's game broken into 2 age groups. We have a teen game and an adult game. We have a ton of community prizes. The foundation went out and solicited prizes from businesses and organizations all around the county. So I think that's gonna be really exciting for kids who win. By completing the summer reading, they can do it by reading. There's some other activities they can take part in. So we're gonna be out and about, just talking about it quite a bit. Posters gonna be going up around town, and we're really excited for getting the kids in and getting them reading for the summer. So that's happening. We also, the second year of our summer music series is happening out on the stage, and so we'll be putting press out for that probably about mid-month. That starts in July and goes through August. And it's a great way to focus on musicians coming through on Friday afternoons, lunchtime music series. We have a lot more local acts this year, which was a goal going into this year. Last year it was a little too far afield at times in terms of the folks we brought in. Power of the internet. And beyond that, just kind of rolling along again, just really focused in on summer reading.
So I learned recently at the library board meeting that the summer reading program also includes adults, which somehow I had never registered that, and there were really fun opportunities. So we all qualified. There were very fun opportunities and checklists and an awesome new graphic with the dragon, and it's an exciting plan.
Yeah, so next week, stop in, get your adult reading game sheet and compete.
And you're gonna come to our meeting on Wednesday and talk about it.
Present, yeah, so stay tuned for that, and I'll kind of go into all of the details of the games.
Great.
Can we do a departmental competition?
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah. And before we move off.
Is that an evil laugh? Like, the library's got this one, I think.
Well, before we move on, Dawn, I'd just like to congratulate Dawn for being elected to the Neat County School Board. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Unofficially. Goes right into any moment, I know. Could.
Oh, I tell ya.
There's the buzzkill.
I was at the Neat County High School graduation on Saturday and saw Don and his daughter there, and he was announced as an incoming board member, and I was just very proud and grateful. So, thank you.
Yeah, excited.
Dan?
So good morning, everybody. Parks is in full swing. We started a couple weeks ago with the Memorial Weekend, opened up, we were full, all the way across the board, except I believe we still have a few spots at Woods left. We're coming up into a free weekend for local residents this next weekend, so that'll be fun. It's always, I think, great to be able to provide a little bit extra to the folks that live here and that we see every day. So that'll be great. I think that our staff so far is doing well. We've had a couple of law enforcement related incidents at Barview Jetty. A couple weekends ago, we had a person that thought speeding and doing Brodies in the parking lot on the jetty was awesome. He's been arrested after the sheriff's department promptly responded, and then we had another one last weekend where it wasn't serious, but a little gal got hit by a hit and run, and she got called in, and that person was also arrested. So I would like to do a call out to the sheriff's department as well as Officer Bill Weber. You know what? They're just fantastic, and we really appreciate them helping us keep the lid on things. So thank you very, very much.
John?
So, end of the fiscal year is coming up. We have our last check run this week. So if you haven't turned in an invoice, too late now. If you have vendors that are looking for payment, you might let them know that they won't be paid till after the 1st of July. We'll have a supplemental budget coming up on the 17th. It will be out at the sheriff's office in their conference room. The budget committee will be there. Josh will probably talk to the fact that taking in budget committee and the commissioners, with the exception of Paul, I think, around their jail tour. Auditors will be here at the end of July and then again in August. So they may be reaching out to departments with questions. They've already started rolling out all of their requests to us, even though we haven't finished the fiscal year out. So we are busy this week and next week, but don't hesitate to reach out if you guys need anything.
For appraisal, we're about 50% done with our permits. We had an appraiser leave a month or two ago. He moved, so now we're kind of scrambling. We're a little bit behind, but we're trying to reallocate work and get it done this summer. For tax, we got done with our trimester statements and we just mailed out about 1,600 delinquent statements. Collections look about what they were last year. We have 105 people, or accounts I should say, that are in danger of foreclosure, but historically, by the time we get to publication, it's about 30 people, 30 accounts. So, yeah, what's going on?
Right, so lots going on. Send out the email that Team Dynamics on the back end is having issues, so while everybody's able to submit tickets, we are not able to look at them and address them. So if there is something pressing, please make sure your staff call the help desk and let us know so that we can get that done. And we're monitoring. I just checked as of a minute ago, Team Dynamics on the back end is still down. So I don't know what's going on, but they assure us that there's Team Dynamics is working on that problem. I wanted to thank Cassandra. She has been doing some work on getting their G drive cleaned up and removing some of that excess stuff on there. So thank you so much.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, and it's gonna make our jobs a little bit easier. So if any other departments are interested, I've got lots of tips and tricks on how to get something like that started. I know most G drives have things that have been around longer than I have, which is sometimes concerning. We are still looking at pushing out mobile device management more. If your department needs any special apps, like Sarah, I know you all use the inspector apps and things. But if you need something other than Office, YubiKey, the basics that everybody gets, let me know so that we can get those set up now. Otherwise, we're gonna have to address that later and it'll just make the rollout a little clumsier. That is all that I've got right now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep, well, as Rachel said, I am drinking from a fire hose. So just wrapping my head around all these really amazing but very big projects. So and I've been wanting to reach out, set up time with everybody. It's been kind of on an as needed basis. So as Chris said, I've actually spoken to him quite a lot over the past couple of weeks. So anyway, if I'm not reaching out and you wanna, feel free to set up some time. We'd love to sit and chat with everybody. this is my first go around, so I'm gonna call it good there.
So DCD is busy with middle housing code updates. All of our hearings have been scheduled through the majority of the summer. So we are on the home stretch as one of our housing production strategies to update our zoning codes. And then we have a couple of new faces in DCD. We've been operating since February with a 25% staff reduction between illness, death, and retirement. So we have a new permit technician, her name is McKean, and we have a new assistant building official coming June 16th, which I'm super excited about. And we are hiring still for the STR licensed tech. That is the one position we have not been able to fill. And so there's many of us covering that. So like Cassandra, we're feeling those vacancies and trying to dig out of a hole. On a brighter note, we received another brownfield grant for $500,000. So we will be working on more restoration and reclamation of properties for residential, commercial, industrial use. That's it.
Okay. I guess what I've got is we're busier than we were about a year ago. And that does not appear to be slowing down going into summer, which has been historically our slow time, just because there's fewer sets of eyes on the kids. So we've been doing a lot of back and forth between here and McMinnville lately. And on that note, I want to thank the sheriff's office for loaning us a transport vehicle, because our primary transport vehicle has a non-working speedometer right now. So I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to use a vehicle that doesn't have a working speedometer. So
Go with kids in the car.
yeah, we're working on getting that fixed. I think we've pumped the brakes enough on that, Sean, so it'll work better.
I'm sure there's an app on your phone that tells you how fast you have.
No, there is.
Well,
There is.
interesting.
I can
If
tell you
set-
there is.
If you set the cruise control on the van, it'll tell you how fast you're going, but the speedometer does not move, so. Anyway, so thanks to Fernando, Matt, and Josh for that. And we're doing our thing, and we're processing referrals, and they're coming in, so I'm happy to see that. And on the transport issue, I need to check in with Sean and on the Barrett piece, but if you know anybody that might be interested in being a transport driver, have them get in touch with me, because I would like to add to our list of people we could call.
And what's involved in that?
Well, sometimes it's picking kids up in McMinnville who are being released and sent back home, and sometimes it's kids that are going into custody and being transported to the facility. Some of whom are in a bad mood about that, so,
Don't everybody jump in once.
yeah, anyway, but if you happen to know anybody that might be interested in that, have them reach out to me. Yeah. And that's all I have.
Okay. Well, we are trying to finish up an election by the 16th of this month. So transient lodging tax, that measure is failing right now just by 11 votes, which is going to, if we keep that margin, it's going to throw it into an automatic hand recount. And we have, our turnout is 44.32%, so we have 9,600 ballots that have to be hand counted for that race. And so it will be super time consuming. We can't start it until after the 10th. Because the 10th is the last day that people have to correct and cure a challenged ballot. So we have around 100 ballots now left to be cured. So people that either didn't sign their ballot or re-challenged their signature. And they have till the 10th to do that. So we would have to get everything opened on the first thing, like on the 11th, and then get those run through the tabulator, run the reports, and then start the recount that day. And then have to have the recount done and then certify the election results by the 16th. And so we're gonna be in a time crunch with that.
Do you get a good response from people who want to cure their ballot?
Not really. I would say less than probably 10% cure. But that list becomes public record on the 4th. And so typically either people can request that list, and then people can be contacted to be encouraged to cure their ballot. with that, we're trying really hard, like when somebody gives us their postcard or sends a new voter card in that we can verify the signature on, we're getting those entered as accepted, so when that list does go out Wednesday, there should be nobody hanging that hasn't actually cured. So, but that is a static list, people bring them in all the time, so we try to be really cognizant of not giving out information where people be like, but I turned something in, so. So we have, that's what's probably the biggest thing. Someone gave their notice, they're leaving the state, so we'll have a vacancy and hopefully we can get that posted this week. It's really important for us to get that position filled as soon as possible because it's hard and we have a lot of vacations planned for the summer and so we're gonna be running with one fewer staff person, so there might be times where it'll just be one of us in there, but we'll have to probably close for lunch every now and then, but that's okay. And I think that's about it. I do have a question though. Shredding. Is anybody else in the need of shredding confidential stuff like more than just once a year? Like, we have so much stuff that we have to shred. It'd be nice to have like
Doesn't the sheriff's office does it more than once a year?
do they?
Yeah, Matt, are you on there still?
Yes, Commissioner, how may I help you?
Well, the list is long, but for now, how many times does the shredding truck come out to the sheriff's office?
We book it when have a need, but it's probably 2 to 3 times a year. We store it and then bring it, and then order it to come out.
Okay.
Christie, I think the DA's office has it more regularly than once a year. You might reach out to Christine.
I think we could reach out to them too, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
And we just did our public shred event.
We went digital, so we don't have a lot to shred anymore.
I got a gigantic shredder in my office now. I thought it was a
You
little one.
wanna subcontract for
It looks like an
R2D2.
R2D2. I showed up in my office because I thought it was a little one they were giving away. Like Kevin brought me this gigantic.
Was that the one that was?
She walked in and just started laughing. I hadn't even seen it yet. So you're welcome to have that.
Is it the really noisy one that you?
Yes.
It's like this tall. It's more than scheduled.
Yeah, I'm not, no thousands
No,
of
I
things, no, yeah.
That you don't wanna do, you wanna give to someone to
somebody.
shred.
I'm just thinking maybe the same day they're doing it, maybe they can do it
Yeah.
up here too.
Okay, and then Marlene's, okay, perfect.
So I
Thank you.
feel like the past couple of years, Deborah has organized.
She has, but we've gone digital with all of our stuff. We don't have a lot
Yeah.
to shred anymore.
Cause we'd
Yeah.
always jump in on that, so I knew.
Yeah, we
It's something
do
now.
too, and we just have like, after every election, you have to purge the election from 2 years prior, so like that's 29 precincts and it's thousands of ballots plus all the return envelopes, plus all the undeliverable ballots, plus all of our correspondence and everything that we can finally get rid of, so it's a high volume. Plus we have all of like the paper voter registration cards that we keep for a 2-year rotation, and then we have to shred all of that, so we're just in a constant, so much of my world isn't digital yet, so just by statute, but we just have a lot of volume, and so for us, waiting every year is just time consuming and it's just a lot, so if we could do it more frequently, it would be super helpful. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Aubrey?
Hi, good morning. I am unmuted. Okay, I clicked the right button. DA's office updates. We did hire the chief medical legal death investigator. Her first day was 2 weeks ago. Not technically a district attorney's office function, but has just fallen to my responsibility, as we've all discussed before. But we are excited to have her on board. She's hit the ground running. Her name is Kate Mackay, and she has 16 years of experience as a death investigator. Experience includes time spent in Multnomah and Washington counties, who do use the program for death investigations that we are moving to. We've also been working with the health department, Marlene and Rocky. I really appreciate them for basically finding somebody who could fill the role for medical examiner, since our medical examiner, Dr. Betlinski, is retiring at the end of the month. I did reach out to Mary Faith, to Commissioner Bell, to see about maybe organizing a celebration, a small something or other for Dr. B, as he is retiring, I think, for the second time officially from the county. But due to his long tenure here, I think it would be fitting to send him out in style. anyway, that's really the biggest news we have. Our office is, we are fully staffed again. My newest DDA1 is really shining. She's learning fast. We're really trying to teach her slowly, not throw her in like a lot of us prosecutors have been thrown in the past, where it's a sink or swim attitude. We're really trying to bring her up right. And then our support staff is fully staffed as well. We're really excited about that. It's amazing the difference that being fully staffed makes. So that's where we're all at. We're just pushing away with cases, trying to do the work to the best of our ability, keeping up with the law, and working with our partner agencies. So thanks for the opportunity to talk, and hopefully I'll see some of you soon at our retirement party for Dr. Betlinski.
Thank you, Aubrey. Chris?
So Miami, fully, we have 2 bridges currently under construction. We expect a closure 2 more times on that one. We do have a closure coming up, and then there'll be another 2. Kilchis River Road, we've got a bridge that's going to be under construction here shortly. Working with the contractor to determine if we have to, or if we can come up with different solutions so that we don't have to close Kilchis River Road for 2 days. Flower Pot Creek's on Bay Ocean, yet another bridge. Working through some issues with that. Possible construction on that one will occur later summer, early fall. That will have a brief period of time where there's a closure. The traffic route on that one will be over the top of the Cape, but not as long as we did with Dick Creek, which we shut the road down for a month. So we've got an alternate solution with a bypass that we did not have available on Dick Creek due to physical topographical constraints. Our North County foreman, Bill Harmon, today is his last day. It's his retirement. So if you see him, wish him well. Again, the last day. And then paving begins in earnest on July 1st or thereafter. Currently we're running around doing hot boxing, which is not paving, but it is using hot asphalt, catching up on a lot of the areas where been need of more of an extensive something beyond just your regular cold patch, but not to the point where we need to run the paver to. Obviously, we have a lot of roads we'd like to pave, but we just don't have the time or money to pave everything that needs to be paved. That's it.
Jackie?
No updates for the Justice Court at this time. Thank you.
Joel?
Nothing for this group today. Thank you.
Josh?
I just want to say to Dan, thanks for the shout out. I'm very glad that things are working out really well. Naturally, we strive for that level of satisfaction with everything we do, but the unfortunate reality is that it doesn't happen. So hopefully everything continues to work as well as it has. And you're absolutely right. Deputy Weber is doing a great job. We're very happy that he was able to come on board. Matt, I'm glad that we were able to get you a transport vehicle. Good partnerships and really benefit us to be able to do things like that. So hopefully that continues to work out in your favor. As Sean mentioned, we are going to be hosting, I think that there's a budget hearing and followed by a tour of the facility. One aspect of that tour is a requirement by jail standards that commissioners, or at least one commissioner, I believe maybe it's all three, but anyways, we have to have tours each year by the commissioners, as well as some others. I have to go through, a grand jury has to come through. So we're trying to check this off of our list by doing a tour with the commissioners, having the lay citizen budget members come out and be able to get a better understanding of how the sheriff's office operates and all the different divisions and what things look like, I think is going to be a huge benefit. So we'll be doing that big tour. I believe it was the 17th. I can't remember for sure, but thank you, Deb, for working on that. I think Sean had a hand in setting that up too, so thanks for that. other than that, we're prepping for parade season. I try to make sure that the sheriff's office is represented in each of the parades. 4th of July is a big one. It's on a Friday, so that weekend is going to be, very hectic, I'm sure. So we're going to do our best to make it through there and keep everybody safe. So otherwise, we're pretty much into summer, and it's only going to get busier from here until the cold of winter hits. So that's all I got. Matt may have some additional updates. I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but that's all I got.
Thank you, Josh. Jeff, did you see the error with the camera come up?
I didn't.
Okay, so last week during a meeting, and it just happened where Debbie's camera shut off and the notification came up that said your camera's off, and we didn't know it was in a private meeting that came up, so.
Okay,
Camera issue
I
there.
will pass that along. We'll look at that.
Okay. Matt, did you have anything to add?
No, ma'am.
Nick? Marlene. Did I skip oh, sorry, Marlene? Oh, should have kept
You can go ahead if you want, Nick, since you're up there. Go ahead.
Okay, so veteran services, we continue to file VA claims, appeals, get veterans signed up for VA healthcare. We continue to do transports to their VA medical appointments, and that's it.
Thank you, Marlene.
Hello, thank you. We are keeping an eye, as probably some other departments are as well, on the federal funding and executive orders and related legal work that's happening around those. We expect some big cuts to the federal funding for Medicaid through CMS, which means state impacts. So we're doing some work right now, as the county is as a whole, just kind of projecting revenue and expense for the next 6, 9, and 12 months with reduction scenarios, 5, 10, 15, and 20% approximately. We're working with Deborah from the Treasurer's Office, so thanks, Treasurer's Office, for that, to make sure that we're prepared in the event that there's some reductions. And on the other side, we're implementing some of our revenue increase strategies with our provider teams and some cost-saving measures. On the HR side, I look forward to meeting our new HR director here this week. Hopefully this not in meetings, but in just some time to connect. So looking forward to that. We're just looking to fill a bunch of medical provider vacancies right now on our side, but with a couple physician, advanced practice clinician, and looking for a medical director replacement here coming up in about 18 months. Trying to plan for my own retirement sometime soon. Let's see, we're just doing a bunch of annual things, probably like many of you. Annual policy and procedure review and updates, contracts review amendments, that kind of thing, grant agreements. We do have a couple of new ones that impact our work here for Measure 110 for a 3 or 4 year grant of $665,000 and signing the final parts of our agreement for the $2.5 million with the Health Resources and Services Administration. So a couple of big ones that we're working on some details on. And facilities, we've got our facilities plans in place, but no funds to do any of the expansion work. Maybe that'll be similar for us with the county as a whole, but we're looking strategically how to do that. The new clinic and pharmacy site is scheduled to open in July. So we're going to do some kind of a controlled start for that with targeted patients and partners here. So we'll let you know what happens with that, and planning our 30-year health center celebration coming up soon. And we'll get that contract in place soon, Aubrey, for our medical examiner and health officer. Looks like it's in progress. So thanks for your partnership on that. And that's my update for today.
Thank you. Randy?
Well, the main thing that we've got going right now is that June 4th, which is I think Wednesday, we're going to we're putting on they're calling it a Tsunami 101 Roadshow. And what this is that there'll be, representatives from the, Office of Emergency Management. There'll be somebody up from Dugami and also from the National Weather Service. And they will basically talk all things tsunami, answer a lot of questions for people if they have them, let people know where those agencies are in doing preparation work. At 11 o'clock, it'll be, this presentation will be in our North County. It'll be at the Pine Grove Community House there in Manzanita. It'll run from 11 till 1. And then that evening, they'll be at the main library because Dawn is a great host. And so we wanted to partake of that. And so it'll be held there in the main library in Tillamook here. And that will be from 5:30 to 7:30 at night. So we've been pushing it quite hard. We were hoping that both of them are well attended and maybe the people that come to the Central County, we won't let them out of the room until they sign up for an emergency preparedness group, so we can get that started. So anyway, the other thing that's going on is that this weekend I completed the teaching for the ICS 300 and 400 courses, and we had people from Manzanita Fire Department and from the Nehalem Bay Fire District were there, and also we had 3 people from the 911 Center to go through these 2 courses over the last month. So it was great to see them and get them their training they need to. A lot of them it's job required, and others are doing it so they can get some new positions, like the fire department, new positions on when they travel out of state for wildland fire. So it was really good. Wish we had more, but the 9 we had was great. So on our planning front, they're full speed ahead on their energy resiliency plan. That's the one that's being paid for that grant from the Department of Energy. And they've gotten all the data they need from Tillamook PUD for all our critical facilities and energy loads and all that stuff that's way above my head. And right now, we're just finishing up the one-on-ones and surveys with the businesses within the county and also the what's considered the critical infrastructures, which would be, any county buildings, law enforcement buildings, hospital, and talk to them about their energy needs and where they're at in preparation for any type of resiliency. So and that plan will of course be done by the end of August because that's when the funding runs out. So that'll be really great to have that. And we're getting a lot of great cooperation and excitement from the people we've been talking to on this. So it'll be another great plan that we can have to help plan for our future on that. The other big thing is that I just finished up the RFP for our county-wide community wildfire protection plan. And as soon as we get the final okie dokie on that, I've got over a dozen consultants that I've been recommended to me to help do this plan. And so hopefully we'll get that out, and I'll be reaching out to a few of you out there that I would like to have on our review committee once we start getting some bids back in on that, so we can get it assigned out by I'm hoping early July on that. So, and that's another thing, that plan's pretty old, and it's nice because we set up a lot of we identify areas in the different communities and in the county that can benefit from any type of wildfire protection activities, the mitigation activities that can go on. So it's a fairly needed plan to have because it really helps us plan for any type of a wildfire incident we may have in the future. Plus it's tied back to our hazard mitigation plan too. So it actually becomes an annex of that down the line. So And then the other last plan that we're putting some touches on, it'll be done again in September this year. It's our hazardous material emergency response plan. And that's being written by and updated by an outside contractor. And then I just secured some funding that we can do a tabletop exercise to test that plan once it's written. We'll do that right after they finish the plan, so that'll be in September too. And in that way, we'll invite everybody that's involved in hazardous material response to come join us in a little tabletop exercise to see if the plan that has been written is good, and maybe identify some additional gaps that we may need to look at with that plan. So looking forward to that. That'll be kind of exciting there. And I'm really gonna like this winter because I'll have at least 2 of the 3 plans done, and I'll only have to worry about the 1 plan after this fall. So anyway, with that, that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Randy. Commissioner Scar has a meeting conflict today, so she's not with us. Commissioner Bell?
Thank you. Well, I'd like to follow up with Christie's news about the TLT measure being 11 votes down. So we as a board haven't decided yet what our next steps are if it fails. I'll just hold hope until the very last second, but we need to regroup and decide if we want to go back out, if we want to go back out right away, if we want to go in November. The Political Action Committee will also regroup and be involved in the recount, I think, and talk about that. We'll talk about the reasons that we think that it didn't pass, and there are 2 that rise to the top immediately. And one is that there was a very strong anti-campaign on social media, and the PAC wasn't prepared for really combating that on social media. And I think, speaking for myself, the idea was to take the high road. Like it's hard to figure out how to respond on social media and not like get into the mess of it, especially when you're talking about things that are either completely false or deliberately misleading, and not get into argumentative weirdness on social media. So if we go back out, we need a strategy for that. And the other thing, though, was that also there's a bill with the legislature right now to change the 70-30 split. And maybe Paul knows more about this than I do, and if so, I hope you'll speak up. But as of last week, it was still alive. So what I heard from some people is that they felt like if that goes through, then maybe we wouldn't need to raise the tax, and so they thought that was a better solution than raising the tax, which is a good point. So if it goes through, that whatever we do next, I think will hinge on whether or not that goes through, and what it looks like if it goes through, because it's a miracle that it's gotten as far as it has, the bill in the legislature, because it's never gotten that far before. And so kudos, bravo to Senator Weber and Representative Javity for championing that. And also, we don't know, in each iteration it changes, so we don't know what to expect really if it does go through, how it may have changed by then. So a lot of that is to be determined, but I remain hopeful, and and more to be determined. It's not unusual for an initiative like that to not pass the first time. There's a lot of history of that in the county, of going out repeatedly. So, but maybe if the legislative bill passes, we won't have to go back out for that. So we'll see. I want to thank Sarah and Chris for joining me on Thursday night. We went to the Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District annual meeting. We were on their agenda as keynote speakers, And so Sarah and Chris did an outstanding job of talking about the many water related, flood related projects that group was interested in hearing about, so thank you. Sarah talked a little bit about the YOP. Chris talked about several plans, including Holden Creek and the Shiloh levee. And I can give a brief update on that. Rachel has worked hard for a long time to get funding for the Shiloh levee repair, and we were so close. And then there was some unexpected weirdness about it was that our application didn't qualify because for this particular funding because cities and counties weren't specifically identified in the statute as being qualified applicants. And so that seems like a mistake because it's a grant for public funding. So it seems like a weird oversight. So I got message, an email from or text from Representative Javity over the weekend saying that will go in a bill. So thank goodness for that, because immediately, we talked to our legislators about this needs to be fixed, and we know, you only have a month left, but please. And so he said, yes, that will go in a bill, and they hope that it'll go through. So that was good news. I wanted to mention to Jeff, thanks to Jeff for some GIS work. We have the GIS contractor, and I'm working with Nikki on an emergency cache, CACHE site project for not only North County, but for all of the communities in Tillamook County that are in the tsunami inundation zone. And so Nikki, our GIS consultant, has identified publicly owned property that's out of but adjacent to tsunami zones that communities could look into using for cache sites. So that work is progressing. I was in that meeting last week on Friday with EBCNB and those folks that the North County villages are as usual, leading the charge. And we went in our first meeting, we went to Cannon Beach and got a tour of their emergency cache system. They started that about 15 years ago, so they're ahead of the curve. So the North County folks want to adopt the Cannon Beach model, and then I hope that we would also adopt that model moving down south, down Tillamook County. So that's very exciting. And there's a lot of momentum for it. And one thing Randy didn't mention is that we're expecting a visit of dignitaries, Oregon dignitaries, to Tillamook County. I don't remember if the date was the 12th or the 14th, but Randy can tell us if he wants to visit emergency cache sites in Oceanside and Cape Mears. And so that's really cool. And Randy said that they will be willing to hear from us about what more we need. So that's very exciting. And additionally, I just wanted to mention that at Saturday after the Neocani High School graduation, I went up to the Manzanita Library book sale. And the Manzanita Library Friends group does an annual book sale to support the library. And it was just so moving. I have a lot of books. My friends have told me that they consider me a book hoarder, people who've had to help me move. And so I had no business shopping for books, but I went anyway. And it was really very moving because the room was full of volunteers. The whole sale was organized by volunteers, and it was a big project. It was an entire room full of books and well organized, and lots of people available to help you. And the system was cool, like you just buy a bag for $10 and put as many books in it as you want. And Linda Kozlowski had donated artwork that her husband created. He recently passed away, and so she donated artwork to benefit the sale, which was very sweet. But I had this great experience, emotional experience there, of how lucky we are to have so many amazing volunteers who care for and support our programs. You know, I can think of all kinds of examples in this room of parks, you know, the Parks Committee and the election volunteers. There's so many people in this community who support what we're doing and give their time and their energy and resources, and I just felt really blessed by that, so I'll stop there.
Okay,
Well,
I got a bunch.
bring us home.
Just to tag on to what you were saying, it's Bill 3962, which is still alive. It looks like it's gonna be a compromise bill, but either way, we're gonna benefit from it. It's just gonna be how much we benefit from it. It's gonna change this, hopefully change the 70-30 in some capacity. The thing about the failing TLT measure, which is so frustrating, or unofficially failing, is that really if 20 more people voted for it, we would be fine, but we're not fine now. So, you know, as you know, we're in bargaining. We did all these wage studies. Our goal was to get everybody up, everybody across the board up. We did some figuring on that, and you know, we were counting on at least over $1 million coming from the TLT. So that's gonna cause us to really have to rethink how we're gonna get through that. We have other ways we're working at doing. One of the things I wanted to say was everybody did amazing during budget hearings, coming in with their budgets, being really conscious and thoughtful about where we're at. Well, we're there now. I think if the 3962 passes, I think we're gonna be okay, but we won't know that until it's all ironed out. So we can't hold our breath for that one. One of the things I wanna talk about is all these central services, and this isn't gonna be familiar to you, but one of the things that we have to do as a county is, and we're doing it, and I can give you examples, and I had when we talked, our culture shift is we have to really focus on revenue generation. The difference was we were more passively relying on timber revenues, and that's failing us. And so we have to, and we are going after things like Cassandra looking at and fighting for the CAFA thing, like finding ways to, CAFA thing, bring in little money. Mike Rice did it with the surveyors. There was a bill, you did it as well. Finding legislation this year that your department has found that would benefit your department is what we need to continue doing, because every dollar we save in general fund, we can maybe have some for reserves, but part of the next thing we're looking at is code enforcement, which is long overdue for a lot of reasons. It's one of those things that's really popular with the public. We need it for the public, but it's also a potential revenue generator. Code enforcement covers a lot of things, not just community development, but solid waste, public works, and parking, which day use areas, which also may be parking, which we're looking at fall under facilities department, where code enforcement will fall. And the reason for that is parks is out of the general fund. We don't wanna mess with them too much. And we can invest in parks using TLT money. See, that's the thing that I think one of the reasons why it didn't pass was people were misled to think we were gonna spend more on tourism. Even with the 70-30, we can be more creative with that 70%. And I'll give you an example, I'll give Dan an example. We can buy kiosks for all of our boat ramps currently with TLT money. Doesn't come out of our pocket, but every penny that we make on the parking can go to general fund. So it's a way of using money that was restricted and unavailable to us and turning it into taking lemons and making lemonade out of it. And we have to think of more. What I would ask is all the leaders think of more creative ways. Matt and Josh, I'll put them on the spot. Matt went out writing tickets this last weekend. Now, I don't ever think that citations should be a form of revenue, but they are. And ticket numbers are down dramatically, which means Justice Court takes a little bit bigger bite out of the general fund. If we can make more money or collect more revenue out of there. Our ordinances are flawed, in particular the parking one has no minimum bail. So you can be found guilty and be charged $10 on a $180 ticket. Now, I'm not saying you should have to pay $180, I think that's too high, but we have to look at, these are all ways of us to, once we gain compliance, we don't have to write as many tickets, we're making more money. Neat Arts Boat Ramp was completely filled this Memorial Day weekend, not maybe 5 boats. The rest were all schooner customers that weren't paying to park there. So I just want you guys to know that as we're asking you, maybe slow roll on hires, rethink things, we know it's hard, but we're constantly fighting with the levy money, like we're constantly coming up with ways of bringing in more revenue for the county. Even you want more recreational opportunities in campgrounds, you told me. So I think like campgrounds is a great example. We invest in parks, we get paid, the campgrounds are amazing, we get paid DMV funds for each campground we have, we make over $500,000 a year just by having the campgrounds we already have. As we expand them, we get more money, plus we get TLT, plus he makes the revenue off the rental of the overnight stay. So I just wanted to talk about that. So we are looking at hiring a code enforcement person, which again, not for revenue reasons, but there's gonna be the benefit of that. Using your hearings officer is a great way of doing it. I've said this before, but I'm saying it a lot. Citations, and I've talked to Matt about this, as we can adopt more state ORS statutes as ordinances, and then every ticket we write stays in the county. Cause I'm for one, I don't wanna give any more to the state, I'm tired of sending them all our money. Delinquent
Yeah.
taxes, it's another one, if we can keep some delinquent taxes, your money that keeps going out that you should be going out, we gotta fight that fight. And part of that for me is, we can write citations on ordinances and then every penny stays here. So these are the kind of things that we're working on, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. We're very close in the noise ordinance, which is gonna make a lot of people happy, and it's almost impossible to get this done. There's so many problems with the noise ordinance. What else? I know that, I can't speak for Erin, but I know that I used a quote from her from our meetings where she said we have to reimagine our relationship with timber. As we're facing timber revenues, I know, and I'm going to a meeting this week in her stead because she won't be there, is, okay, if you're not gonna give us the harvest, then give us the recreational money. Let us run your recreation, let us get some funding from that. If we can't cut the trees down, let us benefit other ways, because you're limiting our ability to, for the greatest good, right? So how do we do that? So just the fact that we're starting to think these ways to kind of change the paradigm of the state just taking everything from us, I think it's great that all these departments are like pushing back, saying, no, wait a second, there's another way to do this, so. That's all, it's rough times ahead, keep your fingers crossed. I am for sure gonna look at the names on the 4th, and anybody that I know, tell me go. Really, I'm not telling you guys what to do, but if I'm gonna tell everybody to vote, whether, I don't care how they voted, just get their signature rectified, so we can.
And this is when people say elections don't matter, like, this doesn't matter, they do matter.
This is so important, I'm gonna be screaming, we'll do this on a community call, we'll do this on the radio this week, like, we have got to, I can't tell you guys what to do, but as an elected official, I can say this. Just get your vote rectified, just get it fixed. It doesn't matter, like, literally 12 people are gonna turn this around, so that's all I got.
Thank you.
Sorry it takes so long.
No, I appreciate it. And great point, you know, I'm shocked that you only get 10% response from people who have problem signatures, because they went to the trouble to vote, so you would think they would wanna fix their signature.
Oftentimes people argue with us, well, I guess I did sign it. You didn't, or I did, well, I signed it, I know I did, or that's my signature, that's my, well, I understand that you might have done that, but we're not trying to disenfranchise you. We want to count that vote, but signatures change. My signature is very different than it was, 10 years ago, and if you're not updating your registration, like, we have those little scratch pads from DMV, that's a lot of the signatures, or like our young adults that went from printing and now they're actually signing, so it's a large percentage, and so.
Oh,
yeah, that's huge.
Well, I've never heard this before about the challenge signature lists becoming public, so that's really helpful information, thank you.
Yes.
We'll be on there probably.
The whole pack, all the pack.
The whole pack will be on there.
Alright, anything else? Our next meeting is the 7th, I'm thinking that's an AOC day, is that the 2nd? Yeah, so may limit commissioner availability. Okay, well, thank you everyone, have a great week.
Thank you.
Feel free to take some baked goods.
They're gluten-free. That's, I